There is a specific part inside your Ram 5.7-liter Hemi engine that will destroy the entire motor before it ever shows up on your service history. The dealer knows this. Stellantis knows this. And a $25 piece of brass may stop it permanently. They buried that fix. Today, we dig it up. If you own a Ram 1500, 2500, or 3500 with the 5.7 Hemi built between 2009 and 2024, pay attention to every word we are about to say. Because the failure we are describing has already triggered over 15,000 NHTSA complaints, a 250,000 unit recall in December 2023, a $15 million class action settlement, and countless trucks that were total losses at 60,000 miles. Your truck may be next, and the repair bill will hit $10,000 to $12,000. That is not speculation. That is what mechanics see every week on the lift. But before we open the hood, we need to explain how this happened. Because this was not an accident. This was a business model masquerading as engineering progress. Ram Trucks became its own brand in 2010 for the 2011 model year, separating from Dodge after years of being sold as the Dodge Ram. Stellantis, the parent company formed through the FCA and PSA merger in 2021, now owns the brand and files its earnings on the New York Stock Exchange. Their target margin is above 10%. One of the ways a manufacturer hits that kind of margin on a $40,000 truck is by cutting $50 per unit out of the powertrain. Multiply that $50 by 500,000 trucks per year, and you are looking at $25 million in annual savings flowing directly to the balance sheet. What those savings cost the owner is a completely different calculation. At the same time, the federal government was tightening corporate average fuel economy mandates under 49 U.S.C. Section 32901. CAFE forced every manufacturer to chase fuel economy numbers or pay fines. Ram's answer was the Multi-Displacement System. They call it MDS. We call it the mechanism that turned your Hemi into a time bomb. Multi-Displacement System works by deactivating 4 of the 8 cylinders at highway cruise, turning a 5.7-liter V8 into a 4-cylinder to save fuel. On paper, the fuel economy numbers go up. On paper, Stellantis stays compliant. In the real world, the hardware required to execute that cylinder deactivation is the most failure-prone component in the entire engine. And here is the financial trap underneath all of it. You are financing that truck for 84 months. In month 12, the truck has already lost 25% of its value. In year 5, it is worth 40% of what you paid. You still owe 60%. The lifter failure typically hits between 50,000 and 150,000 miles. For most owners, that lands squarely inside the loan term. After the powertrain warranty expires at 60,000 miles, and before the truck has any meaningful equity, you are not underwater on a truck. You are underwater on an engine that Stellantis designed to need a $10,000 repair. That is the business model. Now, let us open the hood. Inside your 5.7-liter Hemi, there are 16 hydraulic roller lifters. 8 of them are standard lifters. The other 8 are MDS lifters, specially designed to collapse and cut off fuel and spark to 4 cylinders on command. The part number on those MDS lifters is RL141311AA. They live under the valve covers, seated in the cylinder head, responsible for both maintaining zero valve lash and pumping oil up to the rocker arms. Here is the failure sequence, and it is mechanical and exact. Oil drains back out of the MDS lifter when the engine sits. Debris circulates through the oil galley. The small passage that feeds oil pressure to keep that lifter pressurized gets restricted. The lifter collapses under load. When a lifter collapses, it stops following the camshaft lobe correctly. The cam lobe begins to wear against a lifter that is not riding it properly. The camshaft lobe scores. Metal shavings enter the oil circuit. Those shavings travel to every other lifter in the engine. The destruction cascades. In the worst cases, the camshaft is destroyed, and the engine is unrecoverable. This is not a theoretical failure. NHTSA Engineering Analysis E. NHTSA 21-001 documents this exact sequence. Recall 23V903, issued December 2023, covers 250,000 Ram 1500s from model years 2017 through 2024 for lifter wear and fire risk. Fire risk. Because a scoring camshaft and oil contaminated with metal particles can create enough heat under your hood to start a fire. That is what this failure ultimately looks like. Now, here's where the 2017 production year becomes a critical line in the failure history. Starting with the 2009 model year, Ram introduced what they called the Eagle Head cylinder head configuration. The camshaft in that design uses a surface treatment on the lobe that, under the stress of MDS operation with marginal oil pressure, has proven vulnerable to accelerated wear. After 2017, owner complaints and documented failures began accelerating significantly, which is the period that recalls and class action filings center on. They saved money per engine on the manufacturing side. You will spend $10,000 to $12,000 fixing it. The warning signs come early if you know what to listen for. The Hemi tick is the classic audio signature. It is a rhythmic, metallic rattle at idle, most pronounced when the engine is cold and the oil has not fully pressurized. Then come the misfires. A collapsed lifter means a cylinder that is not firing properly, and the ECM throws P0300 misfire codes. Then comes the low oil pressure warning. By the time the oil pressure light is on, metal is already in your oil. Pull your oil filter apart and look at the media inside. If you see silver or gray metallic particles embedded in the filter media, your lifter damage has already begun circulating through the engine. Parts only cost for a full lifter and camshaft kit is $2,000. Dealer labor runs 20 to 40 hours at $150 per hour. Total dealer repair lands between $10,000 and $12,000. For trucks out of warranty, mechanics are unanimous. It is not worth fixing when repair cost exceeds $6,000. The truck becomes an economic total loss at a mileage where many owners still have 4 years left on their loan. Stellantis issued a technical service bulletin in response to this problem. Their official recommendation is an MDS delete solenoid for approximately $100 in parts. The solenoid disables the cylinder deactivation system. No more cylinder deactivation means no more MDS lifter cycling means significantly reduced exposure to the collapse failure. That is a legitimate fix. That is the $100 fix. But the community of owners and independent mechanics discovered something cheaper and Hawaiian. According to 500 or more documented cases on forums including ramforum.com and subreddits like r/ram_trucks, potentially just as effective. The $25 orifice modification. The engineering theory is straightforward. The MDS lifter collapses because oil drains back out of it when the engine sits, and because debris restricts the oil galley passage that feeds it. The fix is a 0.040 to 0.060 inch brass restrictor installed in the oil galley that feeds the rocker arm circuit. That restrictor maintains residual oil pressure in the circuit and prevents the drainback that starves the lifter. $25 in brass hardware available at any hydraulic supply shop, applied by a mechanic who understands where that galley is located. YouTube teardowns by South Main Auto and 1A Auto demonstrate the modification procedure. Independent testing from HemiTickFix.com, a dedicated lab operation that has documented lifter behavior on test engines, reports successful elimination of the Hemi tick after the orifice modification. We will state this plainly and without exaggeration. There is no long-term OEM study on the orifice modification. Stellantis has not endorsed it. Performing a non-OEM modification confirms warranty void if discovered during a warranty claim inspection. This fix is not verified by NHTSA or CPSC. What it is verified by is the accumulated reports of 500 or more owners, documented in public forums over a 3-year period, who performed the modification on trucks that were already ticking and reported the tick stopped. The aftermarket has also responded with a PCV system reroute kit, part number PCV-Hemi, priced around $300. The PCV reroute addresses positive crankcase ventilation routing that some independent analysis believes contributes to oil contamination and lifter debris circulation. Some mechanics use the brass orifice alone. Some use the PCV kit alone. Some use both together alongside the MDS delete solenoid. The full independent stack, brass orifice modification, PCV kit, and MDS delete solenoid, runs you approximately $400 in parts and a few hours of labor if you do it yourself. Compare that to $10,000 to $12,000 when the engine fails on the dealer's lift. Now, here's the part that makes this worse. Stellantis knows all of this. They have known it since at least 2019, when a class action was filed in California Superior Court alleging defective lifter design and MDS design defect. That case settled in 2024 for a reported $15 million. Extended warranties were offered. No recall to permanently fix the engineering was ordered. The trucks with the eagle head camshaft are still rolling off the line. And when owners of the brand new 2025 Ram Laramie started reporting repeated battery drain failures, some accounts suggest the dealer response was to offer buyout agreements rather than a permanent fix, not a redesigned system. Silence money. An arrangement to make the complaint disappear without a public paper trail. By June 2025, Ram CEO Tim Kuniskis stood in front of a camera for an ad campaign called Ram Demption, produced by Argonaut Agency and covered by Campaign Live, and admitted on record that discontinuing the Hemi was a mistake. They are bringing the Hemi back to production. That admission confirms everything we just told you. They killed the most reliable engine in their lineup, replaced it with alternatives that the market rejected, lost customers, lost revenue, and had to reverse course publicly. They did not fix the lifter problem first. They just brought the engine back. Watch for whether the camshaft specification changes in the returned Hemi production. That is the only engineering admission that would actually matter. So here's the mechanic's verdict. If you own a Ram with the 5.7 Hemi and it is not ticking yet, do this now. Perform the MDS delete. Change your oil every 5,000 miles with a high-quality full synthetic. Pull your oil filter and inspect the media at every change. If you want the full protection, research the brass orifice modification documented by South Main Auto and apply it with the PCV reroute kit. $400 total. Do it before the tick starts, not after. If your Hemi is already ticking, get the oil filter apart immediately. If there is metal in the media, the damage has begun. Assess repair cost against truck value before you spend $1 at the dealer. If you are buying used, avoid any Ram 1500 with the 5.7 Hemi where you cannot verify the MDS delete was performed and where you cannot pull the oil filter and inspect it yourself before money changes hands. Trucks where you can confirm the MDS system has been properly addressed are significantly lower risk. The only math that matters here is this: a $25 brass restrictor versus a $12,000 engine replacement. They buried the fix because the repair bill feeds the dealer. The $25 answer is sitting at a hydraulic supply counter right now. Stop buying the warranty. Start buying the knowledge.